Before we talk about event platform, let's turn it over to Martin, who maintains a number of Drupal modules and recipes of his own to talk about our module of the week. What do you have for us this week, Martin?
Thanks, Nick. Have you ever wanted a flexible way to manipulate the data being used in your ECA models? There's a module for that. It's called ECA Tamper, and it was created in April of 2022 by Jurgen Haas of Lake Drops. And it has 1.0.6 and 2.0.4 versions available, the latter of which supports Drupal 10.4 and 11. It is actively maintained and has security coverage and has 6 open issues, none of which are bugs, which is quite good considering it's officially in use by 1,087 sites according to Drupal.org. Now, for anyone who hasn't used it before, Tamper is a generic plugin system for transforming data. It's often used with migrations and feeds where you need to make sure incoming data matches the data type of the field where it will be stored. We actually covered Feeds Tamper as module of the week all the way back in episode 56 of this podcast. Now, for ECA, you can use Tamper plugins with conditions, so a model can compare against a modified result. Or you can use the Tamper plugins with actions, storing the result as a token that can be used for subsequent actions. I ended up using ECA Tamper in the event platform for a model that sends out emails if an accepted session hasn't yet been confirmed by the author, and the session confirmation is a specific number of days out, for example, 3 days away or 1 day away. So let's talk about ECA Tamper.
It's funny you mentioned it, but I went right back to Feeds Tamper when you started talking. I was like, "Ah, yeah, that's cool." I didn't realize two things here. One, I didn't realize that like Tamper was kind of a like an API or a standard way of building these sorts of things, which is cool. Not to get all meta here, but could you build an ECA flow that then tampered your content?
I don't see why you couldn't, particularly because you can use ECA to, for example, alter a node as you save it. And I think there are actually examples of that in the event platform as well. So yeah, you could definitely build those kinds of manipulations into that kind of a ECA workflow.
There is also a sandbox content tamper module too, so that probably would work with ECA, I would imagine, at some point. So one question I have is actually because I'm thinking back to Feeds Tamper as well, which I mean it's kind of an obvious analog, but I remember that interface being extraordinarily complex. I mean, it was solving a complex problem. It wasn't unnecessarily complex, but it was complex. And ECA is already a complex interface. How what's the UX like when you're adding tampers? Is it pretty straightforward? Or are you kind of diving through tons of fields and configuration to try to get what you want done?
If I recall correctly, the way that I implemented was actually by adding an action that would sort of, in this case, I look at the current date and, or sorry, look at the offset that I had set. So, it was like plus 3 days as an example, and then
Okay.
basically put that into a token, use that for the comparison. So it wasn't especially complex. It was just sort of your
Okay.
standard ECA interface. And yeah, it was made it fairly easy to use that way.
Awesome. All right. So thank you, Martin. As always, you're finding ways to get on topic modules of the week, even if it's just something you use in a particular project. So if folks wanted to suggest a module leak, what's the best way for them to do that?
We're always happy to have conversations about interesting modules or candidates for module of the week in the Talking Drupal channel of Drupal Slack, or folks can reach out to me directly as Man Clue on all of the Drupal and social platforms.